Hey guys, welcome back to 14 because this podcast is for teens and we are 14s. We've got a bit of a different episode for you today. Some things are changing, maybe for the worst, but anyway, I'm Isabella.
I'm Gloria.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Haley. I can't be serious. I can't.
You just could have said her name like how she always does and it would have been fine.
I can't.
You sound depressed in every episode. Why switch it up today?
Okay. As you guys can tell, that was a pretty over dramatized intro, but
What?
That was almost going to be how this episode was going to go. We were this close to
I can't see that, Lauren.
We were very, very close to almost ending the podcast. And in light of that conversation that we had, there were text messages, there were snarky remarks, there were Gloria just telling us to be honest, there was Gloria being very honest, there was Haley
What did I say?
What don't you say?
I literally just said
We
like
have a
exactly what I
conversation to
thought.
be had.
Maybe, I don't know.
The conversation wasn't even bad. She's just dramatic. Okay.
Anyway, so we kind of had a conversation about a few days ago, about how things needed to change with how we did the podcast and if it was even worth going forward. Obviously, this is our last episode of this season, and we have some things that will be a little different going into season 4. So I guess we're going to be talking about this episode.
Yep. So this is our seasonal, I think is the word, late night chat episode where we just talk about what's on our minds. And today it is the future of the podcast. So let's start by addressing some of the reasons we wanted the revamp. We wanted the change. We wanted something to happen. So
it sucks.
Gloria's in a mood because currently zoology.
No, we are cutting this out. Editing Lauren is cutting this out. Like, cough, background noise.
You have to cut it out now.
Well, I can leave the zoology part and cut the rest out. I have master editing skills. I think I'll make it work.
No, I will report the episode.
Try me. I'll go
Wait.
to court.
I'm gonna kill someone.
Back me up. They took law ed. I took mock trial. We got this.
You did not take law ed.
What?
I took law ed.
Where did you take law ed?
This year.
You didn't?
Okay, Lauren didn't take law
I
ed.
said I took mock trial.
No, you said law ed.
No, Haley took law ed. I took mock trial. I did mock trial. Anyway,
Okay.
we would
Anyway.
win the court case. Okay, so we're gonna be.
This is bad.
This is the reason the podcast needs to change, right here.
Yep, basically. So we, as a whole, some problems we identified, maybe you've identified them too,
Probably.
You definitely have.
is
Amy.
a lot, it laid back is not a bad thing, but a lot of our episodes, especially before I really tuned into this and started editing more strictly, like editing more out, our speech patterns, I guess is how we'll say that, include lots of likes, so, okay, those kind of transition words, which
So,
is
yeah. But yeah.
also, I think that like it's okay, here we go. There's just a lot of those transition words. So you've probably noticed it, and those are hard to edit out because they're usually said in such fluidity with another sentence. Like I was thinking that it, and it just goes right in. So those are hard to edit out. So that's something we're going to be working on. Same with kind of staying on topic, not going on as many tangents.
But my mom listens to some of them too.
Oh, Mama Teresa, greatness.
Sup, Mama Titi?
What's up, Mother Teresa?
we're not gonna like change our personalities for the upcoming season.
Maybe we should.
They might need it.
Researching and writing the episodes, just overall like more professional. And here is how we can divvy up the work. Gloria can still run the Insta. No, Gloria runs our Insta. Lauren can still edit and upload because Lauren does everything. Haley can write the descriptions now. I'll create the thumbnails. We'll have shorter episodes, specific talking points for everybody. It'll be more structured. When we film, everyone needs to be in a happy-go-lucky mood or else we sound super boring. Also, our school schedule will be more structured, which means we will have set recording dates, keeping everyone accountable on different filming issues, sound, likes, shuffling, ringers, etc. Also, low-key changing the topic of our podcasts. Not completely changing it, but like being more narrowed in, and we don't even know what that looks like
more
yet.
mature.
Yeah, like more mature. Because I kind of made the comment to Lauren and Gloria that I hated being family friendly, and obviously we're still going to be like family friendly, but we'll talk about more like, instead of like preteen, like 13 to 14-year-old stuff, we'll talk in the range of more like 15 to 17-year-old stuff.
We did not agree on this. We had some differing opinions.
We did. But I still think that like we should be more mature in the topics that we handle, because
I think we should be mature, as in not like there was nothing wrong with like the childhood episode, but just like nostalgia. Like, no offense to anyone who came up with these, but just like nostalgia. Like we're gonna have more like those. But I don't agree with the other part of your statement.
What other part?
Well, we can probably discuss this in our many planning episodes that will need to happen, or planning sessions. Some other small things while we're just naming off all of our things that we're trying to do for next season include, I don't know if Isabella already said this, but I think you did, shorter episodes. And right now our episodes range from, there's 18-minute ones. They're very few and far between, but there are. And then there's also hour and 20-minute episodes. So we're gonna not have any more of those.
Episode is an hour and 20 minutes.
There's a couple that are over an hour. So it's a lot. And those just take up time to film, they take up time to edit, they take up time to upload, all of that. And it's just, they probably don't retain listeners much better, and they're really not that much more informative. So we can get what we need to say across as long as we're more concise in shorter episodes. So we're thinking 15, 20, if we're really passionate about an episode, maybe 30 minutes. Another big change, sorry if you're a YouTube listener, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. There's so many more. Spotify, yeah. The
YouTube ones will still be up.
The old ones will still be up, but we are no longer uploading new episodes to YouTube. That also means that our YouTube exclusives, which will stay YouTube exclusives, we're not going to upload those anywhere else. Those will just be fun little episodes. Those will be like a little magic, what are they called? Like those hidden Mickeys.
Easter egg.
Yeah, those are just like hidden gems that are like in the history of 14s, but we weren't getting any traction off of YouTube. And not that doing the podcast is all about like getting traction and like getting recognized for us, but we
want to put in less. We don't want to put in more effort with less listeners.
Exactly.
So putting in time and whatever to post on YouTube was like pointless.
Yeah, it was an extra step that wasn't helping us in any way. It wasn't hurting us, it just wasn't helping us. So,
and I guess it it hurt a little bit, as far as it took 3 new uploads, it took an entire new thumbnail and an entire new platform to run. So that was just, it's stuff that wasn't really, we were getting very few views per episode. So what that told us, which is fine, was that our listeners aren't coming from YouTube, they're coming from other places. And we don't care where our podcast is, we just care that people are hearing it. So taking it off of YouTube is going to allow us to put more time and effort into our episodes and less time into distributing them to all the platforms.
to other platforms.
Because Anchor does every platform except for YouTube. So that's a really easy one-step thing. Plugging Anchor. We're going to keep our sponsor.
So what else? I think that a lot of the reason why we have issues, like we as a group have issues with our podcast, is that it was originally started in quarantine where we had all the time in the world to film and like nothing was really happening. So we thought that this summer we were just going to be able to film. Well, we have these little things called parents, and they don't always like to tell us when we're doing things or when we have things scheduled, which meant that we were either filming at like 8 a.m. or 10 p.m. So
As today, currently 10 p.m.
yes.
The 10
With
p.m. ones are fine because we be hype. Not right now. I've had a long day. But 9 a.m., no one is at their best. No one is fully hyped. So we were super groggy and like at each other's throat.
We also have never missed a week of uploading ever. Not something I think we're pretty proud of, but it's also burnout happens. And
Yeah.
because we're not just shifting small thing like adding the YouTube exclusives or putting in a different description, adding in intro music, all those were small fixes that we did between seasons. We are going to be taking, we are not going to say a specific amount of weeks we're going to be off because we don't know that honestly, but we're going to take, it probably will be between, I would say 2 to 4 weeks.
I don't even know if we do need that because I feel like we could have a 2 hour, like an hour or 2 hour long FaceTime, which we've done multiple times, and get all of our meetings and stuff out of the
Well,
way.
but what I want to do
Yeah,
is
I
I
would
would
be-
stockpile a couple episodes, so we can be filming in that, but we won't upload one until,
Yeah.
because what I liked about when we first started is that we were always a month ahead. And if hopefully by doing really thorough planning, really thorough scripting to where we know what each person's going to say, because also talking imbalances are a thing. Yeah. And some of us are just more vocal and like, or have more to say
Oh,
about.
that's me.
topic. Yep, Haley's
That's
the vocal
me.
one.
Yeah,
Me.
I'm the vocal one. I'm the one that obviously talks the most.
Always
I just
interrupting.
talk
In
so
real
much.
life, you low key, not really, but like you talk way more.
Mhm.
The podcast has this idea that you're shy.
Oh, girl. Oh, girl.
what are we going to do about that?
I don't know. We have vocal imbalances on the podcast, and that's mostly my fault because I do sometimes get lost in my phone or lost into something I'm thinking about, and I kind of forget we're filming because I do like just to listen to everybody's voices, and sometimes that's satisfying to me. But also, I really felt kind of a disconnect on some of the topics. So this season, I definitely want to bring in more topics that might interest other people. So maybe something about film or books or something, or we watch a whole movie together and we give our little review and a little like action thing. Or maybe we compare like childhood movies. Like we could do, I don't know, I saw a Curtis Connor video on this. It was Barbie versus Bratz. And we could do stuff like that where we like review a Barbie movie and then we go through a Bratz movie and we see which one is better. We could do stuff that will also be fun instead of just stuff and advice for teenagers.
Also, Saran, Jacob, Isaac, Lauren's grandparents, parents, and Daniel, like, or I guess anyone who listens, text or DM us what you want to see because we're really shooting in the dark, especially after deleting YouTube. Not deleting, like not continuing, I guess. We don't have any input from anyone, but because like we don't have enough Instagram followers to do like polls because they're just other podcasts looking for like a follow back, which like I get it, whatever. So like we don't get any input. We're really just guessing and trying to look at statistics.
Yeah.
So it'd be very helpful if you like gave us some idea. You don't have to if you don't have any, but just like what things you like, what you didn't, and even if you're not our personal friend, give us a DM. Like I run the Instagram. You want to talk to me? Or
Yeah,
if you don't,
we all get the notifications, so it's sometimes funny. We've had 3 people responding to a single DM at one time.
And like also I feel like we always kind of like promote this, but if there's ever somebody that like you specifically like want to hear from, send a message and be like, this is for so and so. Like say I was like someone who really wanted to talk to Lauren about like something that she had mentioned, like if Lauren talks about religion on like an episode, right? And like somebody really wants to like continue to hear Lauren's thoughts and opinions on like religion, or they're like struggling in some way and they want to reach out to her and they want to be like, hey Lauren, like we won't read those conversations, like we have access to those because they'll be through like our Instagram, but like just know that there is a level of like privacy and stuff if you specifically want to reach out to anybody.
Also slightly an advice podcast.
Yeah.
So like if you maybe like, I don't know how to make this like not rude. If you like want some like casual teenage advice, please hit us up. I like don't completely know how to help you with like a death or something, but if you don't know how to handle like, oh, this happened with this friend and this friend found out about this and this friend had been cheated, like we're like kind of equipped for that. And I've had a friend who was like, do you have any, like a friend who's going to be an incoming freshman who was like, do you have any, like, should I ask me a bunch of questions? And I sent them the freshman episode. So like we can answer questions, you know, we're not personal therapists.
Well, we
But-
sure try. We sure try.
We sure do try.
So that would be something I would really love to do as we gain people, which we're coming close to the mark where podcasts usually start to pick up more of that. Make it happen, you guys. Tell your friends. But it's going to allow us to do a lot more. We're going to be able to target audiences better. We're going to be able to build a community better if we establish that community of listeners.
Maybe don't be a jerk, but if you're like, hey, I really don't like I find it like repetitive that you guys do advice at the end. That was another thing I could think of that's repetitive. You can say things that aren't like, I hate your guys' voices.
Yeah, we
Because
want
you know, I don't want
positive
someone,
reinforcement.
yeah.
And
I don't want people to
constructive
stop listening because they hate something that no one like brought up to us. So
yeah.
if you're not being a jerk, please let us know. Basically, open communication. We're directly communicating to you. You can communicate back sometimes, maybe a little bit.
Bless you. It doesn't just have to be you're listening to our voices. We want to listen to you too.
And
Motivation.
here's another thing that I think is like really important, right? As you guys know, we are like a very diverse group of people with very different opinions. And so I just want to kind of like put it out into the world. Just because one of us says one thing on a podcast and then nobody really like rebuttals or it gets like edited out, like the full like conversation, don't let one person speak for the whole podcast. And I just think that that's like really important because I don't want people to be like, oh, well, I don't like 14's podcast because Isabella thinks this about purple shoes. Like
That happened on Teenager Therapy. One person said like, they didn't say acne was ugly, but they said like, I don't think acne is beautiful. I think people are beautiful with acne. And it like caused, that was like the only Teenager Therapy episode I've ever seen. No offense to them.
they're great. We love them.
But I started watching, that was just the most recent one.
Mhm.
Because one person tweeted it and then people got really mad and stuff like that. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So it's like, if you happen to find our personal Instagrams or if you know us personally, like just don't let one person from the podcast speak for the whole podcast because we are in fact different people that have different opinions. And that's kind of like the beauty of having a podcast with four people, because you can get four completely different perspectives on many things.
I am just now bringing this up. How do you guys feel about switching like in a row who does the intro? So then it also will help with voice distribution because
I like that too.
Yeah.
Also, like since the Instagram's kind of my thing, this is just me stating it to the people. We hang out like a lot of times in smaller groups or like all four together, but we don't really post about it because we don't think about it. But like we'll do more like, I guess like day in the life through Instagram stories. So it'd be like, oh, just got Duncan with this person and this person, or all four of us. And like, oh, we're having a 14 sleepover. So like we'll kind of let you in a little more.
Right. And it's gonna be a learning curve. And I don't expect season 4, episode 1 to be this fully perfect version of our podcast. This is another thing. Season 4, we're going to experiment a little. We're going to try out some different types of episodes. Maybe like the one Haley said where we watch a movie and we review it, or maybe ones where it's a full-on advice call and we Google things and we give our personal advice on them. We talked about just a lot of different things. And then we're going to be looking pretty closely at our analytics and finding out what is working. Because for us, the podcast is a time that we get together, which is, it might not happen otherwise. I probably have things I would prioritize over this. And I like the podcast gets us together, gets us to prioritize each other because it's an obligation and something fun. So it does that for us. But other than that, we're here to do something and to mean something to other people. So that's something that we want to look at is what are other people receiving? Okay. And yeah, so we can try a lot of things. We can try having more guests on. We can try having, oh, and another thing, we're going to try to have episodes. There will probably still be some where not everybody can be there because of whatever circumstance, but we're going to try really hard to have no less than 3 people ever. And
Yeah.
we're going to try to consistently have 4 people on. We've all officially missed an episode now. I missed my first one a couple
And
days.
have it like, I guess try to make it like not the same people. You
If we
know,
do,
like
yeah.
I guess if we have if we have like 4 episodes in a row, which we shouldn't, of people missing, it shouldn't be like this person every time, you know.
We want it to be all of us. And Isabella mentioned this in the long, here's what we're all here's everything we're fixing. But with the researching and writing episodes, we want to have specific talking points and then sub talking points that each person is in charge of researching, talking about, asking questions, any of that, because that'll help everyone be more equally involved, and it'll help with our points in time where we're searching for thoughts or where we don't know what we're saying or where we're like kind of bored of the episode and we're like, should we just do advice now?
Maybe like the first Friday of a month that you can post on Instagram, which like again in the beginning we won't have as many Instagram followers, like any video ideas, and then we'll take those and take what we've come up with and then plan out the things for the month, do all the research, then write all the scripts like over the weekend, over like the course of the 3 days.
Yeah.
There's, like,
And
let's
then
just
when
go-
we film, it will literally take 15 minutes. It won't take the 15 minutes of talking, the 20 minutes of stalling and what are we doing, and the 20 minutes I have to edit out. It'll be strictly the 15 minutes of podcast. It'll save a lot of time. I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've just let our organization slip as time got away from us, which is normal. Nobody uses their planners by March. They're all stuffed in backpacks. Nobody uses them. And so that kind of happened with the podcast, I think, where we stopped having a lot of extra time where we could all get together. So we started getting behind. We had to start filming episodes 2 days before they went up, which means I had to expedite the editing process, which means we were just constantly behind and playing catch up. And so it started being a lot more of a chore of getting everyone there on time to film and editing in time, because episodes were long and they often had like 15-minute spans of where we weren't talking about the topic.
It's like school. Like the first week you want to look cute, you want to talk nice, you want to be nice to everyone. But by like day 100, you're sick of like, this is no offense to y'all, but like you're sick of everyone there. You just are there to get it done and move on. So like,
And that's what it started to become. So this is our fresh start to the podcast.
in the beginning, we didn't really know what we were doing. So it like,
No.
we became less organized, less excited about it, and like equally as have no knowledge on what to do. You know what I mean?
Right. And so we're going to try and increase our knowledge and increase our directness of
I also think like we might be able to redo some episodes. Like I think we like very much tiptoed on the mental health issue because we were all like scared. And obviously we shouldn't be like diagnosing people or anything like that. But I definitely think we can dive deeper into it and like
yeah.
not
And when
be
we
like,
put
sometimes
disclaimers
you're
in
sad.
things, I think when we put disclaimers in things, that should be the sign of if this is something you have very strong opinions about or are going to be offended if we say something controversial, or if you don't want to hear any whatever about this topic, that's when you click off.
And like that's kind of my thing about like being less quote unquote family friendly. Like I'm kind of done tiptoeing around subjects. Like I want to talk about religion. I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about things that are relatable to teenagers, because let's be real, not many teenagers want to listen to like what makes us nostalgic. Like it's fun to talk about, but it's like I want it, like personally, I like to hear other teenagers' opinions on religion, politics, relationships.
I think we've exercised our like improvement, and anything else we can like figure out amongst ourselves in the many meetings. Unless you-
So basically, guys, things are changing. They're not changing. Oh, did we mention that if season 4 doesn't go well, then
Oh yeah. If we end up back in that loop of this isn't fun, this is just work, or that things aren't improving, if we haven't made any sort of breakthrough, we might circle back to that decision of cutting the podcast. And that doesn't mean forever, but that means until we find new inspiration or until something happens that makes us want to start it again.
I mean, heck, everybody was waiting for Taylor Swift to release an album, and she released 2 in a year. So it's like inspiration can strike at any time. This is kind of like whenever a couple goes to couples therapy to try to save their relationship. We're trying to go to podcast therapy to save our podcast, you know?
teen therapy.
Hey. But yeah, maybe we'll reach out to some other people, collabs. Just tell us, please, what you want to see, because I don't think you realize how much that can help. Leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, we'll post it on our Instagram, DMing us, all those things can help more than you can possibly imagine. Also, if you give us a recommendation for an episode, I can 99% guarantee we're going to do it.
Unless it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Stupid.
But if you're like, hey, you guys really haven't talked about the feeling of like aging, that was just something I came up with. We're like, oh, you're right. Let's talk about like whatever.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna talk about aging. You know,
wrinkles. I don't know. That was the first thing.
Going from 15 to 16. I feel my
Well,
back.
I think like kind of the point of our nostalgia idea in our heads was like it's weird because we don't really fit a place in the world. We can't do anything that adults are allowed to do. We can't even drive. So we have all the laws of a child, but like the feelings and passion of an adult. So I think nostalgia was kind of supposed to be like how it feels to be stuck in like aging, you know, like we're too old for this. We can't, but like it kind of turned into like Team Oomy Zoomies was fun.
So get excited. We're excited. We're going to put everything we have into this season and hope it's not the last one. Should we give advice last time?
Oh, one last advice.
And that doesn't mean that advice will never come back. We probably will give advice throughout episodes, but I think we're going to end unless we hear differently that people like this part, the advice at the end of every episode. I also think
we don't think it through, like none of us do, so I'm not hating on anyone. We don't think it through and we just like all of a sudden say something, which is great.
So
but like it's like,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. It's just not like heartfelt. It's just kind of like boop.
Yeah. When we're scripting episodes, if we decide that like coming up with advice ahead of time then works, we might do that. But for now, what's our last advice of season 3?
My last advice of season 3 is just talk to them. There is somebody in your life that you need to have a conversation with, that you have been waiting and putting off to have, and just talk to them. Like, it's fine. You'll be okay. Just talk to them.
Okay, my last advice of the season. Eat the chocolate. Have the cake. Add an extra half scoop of the macaroni onto your plate. Nobody has ever died wishing they were skinnier. People wish they didn't spend their life wishing they were skinnier or curvier. Insecurities are valid, and like we all have them. I'm not telling you to feel 100% content in yourself, but don't let it ruin good parts of your life.
Snaps.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. You have to realize that the world is a lot different than it used to be. So there are things that are happening in your life, or maybe you're experiencing different things that nobody will really have an answer to or a solution to. Or maybe there's, I don't know, just something new that's happening to you that is kind of a more newfound thing that nobody's gonna have any right to tell you that it won't work or that it's not worth it or anything because you truly don't know because there hasn't been enough of it for anybody to form like a chain of consensus.
I agree. All right, my final season 3 advice is there's always something you need to do, and there's always something piling on your plate, all of that. And I think a lot of times we wait for motivation to come to get those things done. We procrastinate until we can't anymore, and that's where we get our motivation. But you have to realize motivation never comes from anything external. We trick ourselves into thinking it does. We're like, oh, okay, well, 5 more minutes on my phone will give me motivation. No, it won't. You deciding that you're going to go get the thing done, that you're going to go achieve the goal, whatever, that's what's going to give you the motivation. So if you want to use this as your external force, if you need that push, go ahead. But also realize that you're the one that's going to make that happen, and it's your grit and your willpower that leads to things getting done. So you've got it within you. Here's your signal to go do it.
All right, bye, loves. We will see you next season. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Bye, Boss Cat Shotties.
Mwah.